Good afternoon, welcome back to T3 and your tech news in 5 minutes or less. We're going to kick off today with the hard bits around Covid-19. Now, we painted quite a grim picture of Wuhan in our last news episode where we basically covered the entire kind of scenario end to end. And we're just providing some kind of updates on that at the moment. And the new countries that are being ill affected by this are in the Asia and European territories as it spreads across the continent. Now, the ones that we kind of need to pay special attention to are South Korea and Italy. They're going through a bit of a thing at the moment, and especially with South Korea obviously being affected, guys like Samsung, LG, some of the major other IT partners and electronic partners and manufacturers in the world are going to be ill affected by this. So it's just going to be more kind of supply issues. Haven't heard anything out of China saying that tier 2 manufacturers are starting up or anything of their like. So kind of guys, just be a bit more patient, please, and a little bit soft-hearted, obviously, towards the guys that are losing their lives out there as this outbreak continues. It does look like the World Health Organization, though, is taking it more seriously, and everybody's kind of upping their levels and reacting to this now very actively at the moment. So let's hope that everybody does what they can, when they can, to make a better situation here for everyone. In some exciting news, though, for the Intel fans, the 10th gen pricing has actually leaked via a Slovakian website, one of the e-tailers on that side. And if we look at the dollar-based pricing and the spec and that kind of stuff, which will pop up on the screen over here, you'll be able to see the kind of spec and price. Now, not much is being changed from their 9th generation chips. It does look like a bit of an IPC and a bit of a clock increase, like 100 megahertz per level, with some pricing adjustments. Even though that's being done, looking at it versus the Ryzen 3rd gen stuff still, it's not looking very competitive. And with their 7nm Plus on the horizon, midway through this kind of year, they're going to be bringing those out. It does leave Intel in a little bit of hot water. Now, I don't think that this is going to spark the needle internationally. Locally, there's a lot of ancestral love for Intel. A lot of people that have gotten into gaming in the last decade have pretty much been dedicated onto Intel because of that price versus performance that they were bringing to the party, and AMD ancestrally having run quite warm on their CPUs. But now, in the current climate, AMD is selling 7-1 against Intel internationally. And if that wasn't enough, they're putting pressure on the mobile areas as well as the server spaces, which Intel had completely dominated before and were basically unchallenged. This is very good for us though as consumers, because it means that we are going to get value as these two giants compete against each other. So definitely a good development for, I'd say honestly though, for AMD though, looking at it holistically based on this performance and spec, it does look like Intel's kitchen is just getting hotter and hotter. The one thing about the Intel though, I must say, is the overclocking potential. It doesn't look like with them getting it out of box at already potentially 5 gigahertz or 4.9 all-core boost. We'll have to see what the headrooms are like, but if it's anything like their past chips and you can get like another 500 to even 1000 megahertz extra out of these chips, that are going to be a lot of fun in the overclocking department. In gaming news, Bethesda has followed Activision in pulling out of the GeForce Now experience, or the GeForce streaming platform. It does kind of beg the question as to why this has happened with Activision and Bethesda, who has offered them a better streaming package or game streaming package than GeForce. Now, these companies work with them on RTX to put those features into their games, because at the moment those kind of features are proprietary to Nvidia and their technology. And this had been tried before by guys like Voodoo, where they had tried to create their own rendering platform. It didn't go so well for them. It was a little bit ahead of their time kind of thing compared to now, and I do think RTX has moved out of kind of niche kind of feature space into something that's actually viable and that actually does work. We'll have to see what happens with Ampere as that kind of gets rolled out, but it's very strange to see two monolithic kind of companies like Bethesda and Activision pulling away from a company they otherwise work very closely with. So we're going to have to watch and see what happens, because GeForce and Nvidia themselves have made no real announcement. If you go through their newsroom, there's nothing to say that. There was a little blurb through on Twitter just to acknowledge that this had happened. So who knows what's going on behind closed doors, but we will watch the situation closely and update you as it progresses. Lastly, in news that is so cute, you're going to have to punch a wall just to feel manly again. We have Baby Yoda merchandise landing from The Mandalorian with a bunch of other cool stuff as well. But Hasbro is going to take advantage of you because they've seen the internet memes and the amount of Baby Yoda merchandise is absolutely staggering. If you guys are having a look at the pictures now over my face and instead looking at the Baby Yoda, the Cuteness 9000, you can just see how much stuff they've actually made. There's actually some really cool Mandalorian gear. I would love to get myself personally a little Mandalorian figurine because he's probably one of the coolest characters that Disney has created since they've bought over the Star Wars IP, and it's definitely their best showing since they've bought it over. But if you guys are in the need of some Star Wars cuteness, then Yoda is definitely going to scratch that itch. So thank you all so much for watching. We do hope you've enjoyed this episode and we hope to see you in the next one. Until then, keep your games wrecking and your life checking. We'll see you next time.